Shitam.
Manishinno, Yesu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna
So,
Prabhu.
so we're doing 27, 28.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, please carry on, Prabhu. Please carry on.
No, yeah, I just started reading, so you could.
No, you can read, Prabhu. We can then discuss
Okay,
it.
sure.
Yeah.
So, Shaktibir, Navabhishcha, Trividbihi.
Manishinno,
स्वशक्तिभिर्नवभिश्चत्रिभिः
Anantam,
Vanim Yata Daruni Panchadasyam.
Vanim
वाणीं
yatha
यथा
daruni
दारुणी
panchadasyam
पञ्चदश्यम्
Manishaya Nishkarasanti Kudam.
Manishya,
मनीषया निष्कर्षन्ति
nishkarshanti
गुदाम्
gudam.
Savai Amasesa Visheshamaya.
Tavaya mama
तवैममाशेष
shesha
विशेषमाय
visheshamaya
Nisheda Nirvana Sukha Nudi Sukhanu Bhuti.
निषेध
Nisheda
निर्वाण
nirvana
सुखानुभूति
sukhanubhuti.
Bhuti,
Sarva Nama Sa Vishwarupa
सर्वनाम स च
Sarvanama sacha
विश्वरूप
vishwarupa.
Prasidatam Aniruptatma Saktihi.
Sidatam
प्रसीदताम्
aniruptatma shakti.
अनिरुक्तात्म शक्तिः
Sakti. Very good.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Translation Prabhu by Sri Prabhupada's teaching. Translation. Just as great learned Brahmins were expert in performing ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices can extract the fire dormant within wooden fire by chanting the 15 Samadhini mantras, thus proving the efficiency of the Vedic mantra. So those who are actually advanced in the consciousness, in other words, those who are Krishna conscious, can find the super soul, who by his own spiritual potency is situated within the heart. The heart is covered by 3 modes of material nature and the 9 material elements. Material nature, the total material energy, the ego, the mind, and the 5 objects of sense gratification. And also by the 5 material elements and the 10 senses. These 27 elements constitute the external energy of the Lord. Great yogis meditate upon the Lord, who is situated in the super soul, Paramatma, within the core of the heart. May the super soul be pleased with me. The super soul is realized, and one is eager for liberation from the unlimited varieties of the material life. One actual over-loving service of the Lord, and realize the Lord because of his attitude of service. The Lord may be addressed by various spiritual names, such as inconceivable to the material senses. When will the Supreme Substitute Godhead be pleased with purport in his commentary to the verse? Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur used the word Duryajanyam, which means very difficult to realize. The pure stage of existence is described in Bhagavad Gita 7.28, wherein Krishna says, Ante Gatim Papin Papini Janantam Pune Karmanam E Devdante Moho Nirantata Bhajante Mam Dhar Karta. Person who have acted piously in previous life and this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated and who are freed from the duality of within, engage themselves in my service with determination. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 9.14, the Lord says, Tatanam Kritinto Mam Yitarnate Che Dharvada Namaste Yantaste Mam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upasati. Always chanting my glories and doing with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead after transcending all material implements. Therefore, Lord Krishna also says in the Gita 7.3, Munishyanam Sastu Kanchit Yateti Siddha Yatanam Api Siddhanam Kanchinmam Yate Tattva. Out of many thousand among men, one may endure perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. To understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yes, sir. One must undergo severe penance and austerities. But since the path of devotional service is perfect, by following the process, one can easily come to the spiritual platform and understand the Lord. This too is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18.55, wherein Krishna says, Bhaktyamam abhijante yavan yasmi swaha tato mam tato janat kristatat anantaram. One can understand Supreme Personality Godhead as he is only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Thus, although the subject matter is Durvijjanam, extremely difficult to understand, it becomes easy when one follows the prescribed method coming in touch with the Supreme Personality Godhead. It is possible to pure devotional service, which beings the Savanam Kirtanam Vishnu. In this regard, Vishnunath Chakravarti Thakur quotes a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.8.5. Parivishyahi Karam Randam Tab Savanam Bhava Sarhuram. The process of hearing the chant and chanting enters into the core of the heart, and in this way, one becomes a pure devotee. By continuing this process, one comes to the stage of transitional love, and then he appreciates the transitional name, form, qualities, and passion of the Sattva Godhead. In other words, a pure devotee, by devotional service, is able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, despite many material, immediate impediments, which are all various energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Easily making this way to these impediments, a devotee comes directly to contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After all, the material impediments described in these verses are but various energies of the Lord. When devotee is eager to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he prays to the Lord. Aya Nando Tanujo Kinkram Patitam Mam Visham Bhava Buddham Kripaha Tadva Pada Antaja Istito Dure Sadaharam Vichintehe. O son of Maharaj Nand Krishna, I am your eternal devotee, servitor, which somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of the birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet. Being pleased with these devotees, the Lord turns all his material impediments into spiritual services. In this connection, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes a verse from the Vishnu Purana. Aldani, Sindhani, Samaved, Tevate Ekar, Sarv Samastino, Hande Taps Hari Kari Mishra, Teved Anu Guna Vachiti. In this material world, the spiritual energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead is manifested as Tap Kari, Tapakari, which means causing miseries. Everyone hankers for happiness, but although happiness originally comes from the pleasure, potential Supreme Personality of Godhead in the material world, because of material activities, the pleasure potency of the Lord becomes the source of miseries. Allah Tapakari. False happiness in the material world is the source of distress. But when one is and endure for happiness are redirected toward the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality Godhead, the Tapakari element of misery is vanquished. An example given in this connection is that extracting fire from the wood is certainly difficult. But when the fire comes out of the burns, it burns the wood to ashes. In other words, experiencing the Supreme Personality of Godhead is extremely difficult for those devoid of devout service, but everything becomes easier for a devotee, and thus he can very easily meet the Supreme Lord. Here, the prayers say that the form of the Lord is beyond the jurisdiction of the material form and is therefore inconceivable. A devotee prays, however, my dear Lord, be pleased with me so that I may very easily see your transitional form of potency. Non-devotees try to understand Supreme Brahman by discussion to neatly nisadre vara tukhan bhotaha. A devotee, however, simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, avoid such laborious speculation and realize the existence of the Lord very easily. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. See, it's a very big purport, but it's actually very simple. Now here, see, the heart is covered by 3 modes of material nature and the 9 material elements. And also the 5 material elements and the 10 senses. These 27 elements constitute the external energy of the Lord. So the great yogis meditate upon the Lord who is situated as the super soul Paramatma within the core of the heart. May that super soul be pleased with me. So when will the Supreme Personality be pleased with me? So you see, the living entity's heart is covered over by material nature. See, actually, there is nothing as material or spiritual. Everything is spiritual. Everything. Because everything is coming from the Supreme Lord. Everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. Purnamada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnamudachyate. Also, Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam. Everything belongs to the Lord. So, if everything belongs to the Lord, how can it be material? Or Krishna is also saying, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava Matta Sarvam Pravartate. Aham Sarvasya Prabhava Matta Sarvam Pravartate. So, if everything is coming from Krishna, how can it be material? So therefore, here at the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining this. This point he is illustrating from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Ladini Sandhini Samvit Tvaya Eka Sarva Samsthitau. Lada Tapakari Mishra Tvayi No Guna Varjite. See, there is there is no Durga Devi. It's only Radharani. When the living entity's consciousness is perverted, immediately Radharani appears as Durga Devi. The spiritual nature turns into material nature. But actually, it is all spiritual only. It is the consciousness of the living entity. So, in the beginning, if you remember the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the beginning, when the living entity desires to be separate from the Lord, 5 types of ignorance cover his heart. And in this, the first layer of ignorance is that he considers himself to be separate from the Supreme. And as soon as that relationship with the Supreme is broken, everything turns material. Even the temple, the deities in the temple can be material. Even devotional service, even sitting on a Vyasasana and speaking Bhagavatam can be a material exercise. If the consciousness is not pure, one can read Srimad Bhagavatam and still become lusty. One can read Srimad Bhagavatam and still be greedy. That is material. One can become spiritual even by looking at nonsense, mundane things, because it's all a matter of one's own consciousness. So Krishna is saying, Tesham satatayuktanam kirtayanto, Tesham satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridvrata. So one who's with determination engaging in this service. So the only way to escape material nature is to change our own consciousness. See, one who desires to escape this material world can escape. But the problem is, most of the people, even the devotees, don't have any desire to leave this world. They actually desire to stay here. Because when Krishna tries to take away from us, take us away from material world, we protest. We don't want. So we are living here. So bhakti cannot be done half-hearted. Bhakti must be done. Bhakti must not be done as a social exercise or as an etiquette or just as a hobby. No, bhakti is bhakti. Bhakti is life. Everything else is an illusion. It is actually death. So anything that perpetuates the cycle of birth and death is actually ignorance. So the central point of this purport is that one can attain Krishna only by devotional service, by only bhakti. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. So one can only know Krishna by bhakti. Vedeshu durlabh adurlabham atma bhaktau. But atma bhaktau doesn't mean that one can be sentimental. Okay, I went to Vrindavan, I danced in front of the deities, then I went out, ate some pakoras, and now I'm going back to my job. That is not going to work. That is just tourism. Bhakti means your life should be for Krishna. If the objective of your life is Krishna, you work for him, then even if your service is imperfect, Krishna will give you that intelligence. Dadami buddhi yogam tam, yena mam upyanti te. Krishna will give that intelligence. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. So Krishna will give that intelligence. So you have to, so you see, so the central point that here Srila Prabhupada is trying to emphasize is this only, that bhakti is the only process by which one can understand Krishna. Now, if you try to understand, I told you Hansa Guhya prayers are very deep. You really have to study them over and over again, otherwise it will be difficult to understand. So you see, why is Srila Prabhupada suddenly talking about Ladini, Sandhini, Shakti here? So what he's trying to explain here is that there is no spiritual or material energy as, distinct from each other. Mahamaya and Yogamaya. No, Srila Prabhupada uses these terms interchangeably. Yogamaya, Mahamaya, they are one and the same. Because energy is only one. There is Krishna's internal energy, there is marginal potency, us. So this so-called external energy is just a manifestation of our own consciousness. It's a reflection of our own consciousness. Atmendriya priti vancha tare kahe kam. Krishnendriya priti ichha dhare prem nam. So if the desire is only, so it's only our desire, which is really the basis of everything, spiritual or material. Our desire is everything. If we desire to serve Krishna, then you can live in hell and still serve Krishna. If you desire to gratify your senses, you can sit in front of Srila Prabhupada and still not learn anything. I mean, so many of Prabhupada's disciples became child abusers and so on. And some of them went back to Godhead also. So, like, is Srila Prabhupada not potent enough to create disciples, or is he? What is the problem? No. Srila Prabhupada is an acharya. He just gives the knowledge. It's up to the individual's consciousness to decide what he wants to do. So the point here is, what is our determination? As you know, as Keshan Prabhu keeps on emphasizing, what is your sankalpa? Mm, what is your determination? What is the objective of your life? What is the real purpose of your life? If your purpose is to serve your family, earn money, and then do some bhakti, that will happen life after life. Or sometimes at some point it will just stop. Because Krishna, why should Krishna entertain? Because in this life you are finding Krishna interesting, next life you will not find him interesting. That's material nature. That's how Maya acts. But if the objective is to only serve Krishna, and then you realize that there are materialistic hurdles, and you struggle against them, then Krishna will give that determination. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. Krishna will give that determination. But again, that point is satatam kirtayanto mam. Always chanting my glories. Always you can only chant when you are determined to only serve Krishna. If your determination is children, family, job, country, politics, temple politics, then nothing will come. Nothing will come from it. Because in the next birth, our bhav will change. Something else will come. In this birth, you are Indians, you're supporting India. Next birth, you'll become Pakistanis. You'll support Pakistan. And you'll be equally convinced that Pakistan is good, India is bad. Because it's just a material determination. Objects will keep changing. So you see, what you desire, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. What bhav do you maintain? That will determine whether you are spiritual or material. So many devotees, they come to temple, they come with all good faith, but then they decide, oh, I can find some power here, I'll find some puja, labh, pratishtha, I'll get some money here, I'll get some reputation. So they become big, big managers, fund managers, donation collectors, and then eventually all the bhakti goes to hell. All the innocence of a young devotee is gone. So you see, the whole point is that is emphasized here is that heart is covered over by this nature, and these layers have to be removed by constant and determined service of the Lord, with the objective of Krishna only as the point. So it takes many births, but one should be very, very careful. That's why I mentioned Manushyanam Sahasreshu. Out of thousands and thousands of men, one may be actually serious. Others are just going to waste their time. Half cooked bhakti, little bit here, little bit there, with no determination, that bhakti will not last. So, kashchid yatati siddhaye, one has to, those who are struggling hard. So, after that, Krishna is revealed by his own mercy. Ai nanda tanuja kinkaram patitam ma vishame bhavam budhav. So, I have fallen somehow or the other into this ocean. Kripaya tava pada pankaja sthita dhuli sadrisham vichintaya. Kripaya. So, please, by your mercy. So, we are praying. So you see so many subtleties here, that constant service also doesn't mean that Krishna will serve, Krishna will help us. We pray to Krishna to save us. We depend helplessly on Krishna. But that helpless dependence will only come when we are thoroughly determined in devotional service. If we are not, then our determination will weaken very quickly. Krishna will trick us. He'll put us in some situation of great opulence, and then he'll take it away. Then we'll feel, oh, this bhakti is nonsense, this is just taking me away from my opulence. So then the determination will weaken. So in this way, Krishna will test our determination also. So we need to be very careful. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments here?
Hare Krishna Bhakti
In the pranam.
Suppose a devotee,
Hmm.
the deity and offering his prayers, etc. And
Hmm.
become lusty.
Hmm.
But then realizes it.
Hmm.
And immediately asks for pardon and request for the forgiveness. And then again goes into devotion. So how do you do this time?
See, what is that verse in Bhagavad Gita? 9:30. I'm not forgetting that one. Apichetsu duracharo bhajte mam ananya bhag. So he's still sadhu reva samantavya. He's still a sadhu. But the point here is, one should not think that I'm going to fall down and I'll go. Mam yo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Krishna is also saying, one who does not fall down in devotional service. So accidentally one may fall down. It happened with Shatrajit. He accidentally participated in the murder of, not Shatrajit, Akrur. He accidentally participated in the murder of Shatrajit, Krishna's father-in-law. He became a part of that conspiracy, but he's still considered a sadhu. Or Yudhishthir Maharaj lied. Those are sadhus. But one who is determined to cheat, that, okay, I become a devotee, now I can cheat a little bit, I'll smoke a cigarette, I'll drink some alcohol, then I'll do this, then I'll come back. That becomes Namaprad.
No,
If
not
the
that.
determined.
My case is very simple, sir.
Hmm.
That he devotee, he comes for full conviction to have his prayers, but his mind, he for a time, very momentarily, diverts to various things, the statements. He realizes it and
Hmm.
immediately asks for pardon also.
Hmm.
So then
That is perfect.
how
That is perfectly fine. Krishna is also explaining to Arjun in the 6th chapter. When Arjun says that my mind is restless and the method of yoga prescribed by you
Yeah.
appears impracticable. So Krishna
Yeah.
says that. So Krishna is saying there that, by practice and detachment. So that's like we discussed earlier also, there is a misconception amongst devotees. They read only half of that 6th chapter, not the other part. Krishna is not saying that, my dear Arjun, don't practice yoga. He's not saying that. Krishna is saying by detachment and practice. So your mind is restless, fine, but you detach your mind and you make it sit in one place. By detachment and practice, you can perfect this yoga process. So Krishna is bringing Arjun back to the path of yoga only. So by detachment and practice, one has to practice all the time. Okay, my mind is getting distracted. Let me go to a place where it will not be distracted. Let me read some book before chanting. Let me meditate on Prabhupada before chanting. Let me pray more. So in this way, find your way by which to bring your mind back on track.
That-
That's the process.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yes, anyone else has any question here?
As hearing Keshavanand Prabhu's lecture 1833 to 35, they're saying the same thing you're saying, that you may be in the temple, but if you want to, you dream of becoming temple president, then there's no use in your service or your devotion. So
Yeah.
so how each of those things you have to be devoid of any, you
Yeah.
cannot be
Bhak-
dreaming.
Bhakti is very subtle, very subtle. Yeah, you may become a temple president. That is better, that's better than having illicit sex or drinking alcohol or eating meat. But that is still not bhakti because there's still a desire to lord it over. So actually,
Hmm.
that might be dangerous also. Like, this story in Ramayana that comes of that Brahmana of Ramayana. So this Brahmana, he's like a cruel Brahmana.
Hmm.
So one day a dog comes to Lord Ram to complain, and the dog is bleeding from the head. So Lord Ram is amazed to see a dog like this. So he asks, who's this cruel person who hurts an innocent animal? So the dog says, I have come to complain against a Brahmana. This Brahmana has been beating me. So the Brahmana is summoned to the assembly. And Brahmana says that when I am meditating, this dog is barking, so I have to beat him up. So Lord Ram consults, he says, okay, dog, what kind of punishment you want for this Brahmana? He says, oh, make him the head of Kalanjar monastery.
Correct.
So
Correct.
Lord Ram agrees. He says, okay. And the dog is sent. I mean, the Brahmana is sent. So then the dog explains that I was also actually the president of that monastery in my past birth. So you
Yes.
see, and I
I
also,
also
yeah,
really
he said,
done.
like, I don't even know what offense I committed. I became a dog in this life. So, and imagine he has no control over his temper.
Valmiki
So,
reminded me this.
yeah, Uttarkand, Valmiki Ramayana. Now,
Exactly.
another point is what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says. And this is especially very dangerous. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, one who takes up a leadership position and considers his own god brothers to be inferior to himself has a hellish mentality. What to speak of attaining Krishna, this person will not probably attain even a human birth. So you see, all this positions in bhakti, head preacher, head pujari, temple president, temple commander, these are straight roads to hell. Because a trace of, an elemental trace of pride and one's bhakti will be ruined forever. Krishna will not accept anything from such a person. Because a temple is a very sacred place. So it's very dangerous. Like Srila Prabhupada also says, one should stay away from a king, fire, and spiritual master. You never know. Any moment an accident can happen. Okay, so does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
okay.
sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we will continue tomorrow. We stop here today. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Dandavat
Prabhuji.
pranam.
Thank you.
Dandavat pranam, Prabhu. Hare